Good morning, I'm Kara Rucker. It's Monday, June 2nd, 2025, and these are your unbiased updates. A peaceful walk turns into a nightmare. A man with a makeshift flamethrower attacks pro-Israel demonstrators in Colorado. What we're learning about the suspect and why the FBI is calling it terrorism. Plus talks in Turkey, but drones in the sky. Ukraine and Russia sit down for peace just one day after launching their biggest attacks in months. What's on the table and why the US may walk away. And no, your eyes weren't playing tricks on you. The northern lights lit up skies across the US overnight in places that almost never see them.
The stories that matter, clear and credible, from across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News.
New this morning, 8 people are hurt and a suspect is in custody after what federal authorities are calling a terror attack at a mall in Boulder, Colorado. Investigators say the suspect, 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Soliman, used a makeshift flamethrower, shouted "Free Palestine," and threw Molotov cocktails into a crowd gathered to support hostages still being held in Gaza. 4 men and 4 women, all between 52 and 88 years old, were taken to hospitals with burns. One is in critical condition. The FBI is investigating it as a targeted anti-Semitic terror attack. Witnesses describe the scene.
But I saw fire, I saw people falling and screaming and crying and tripping, and I saw the attacker have a Molotov. He had 3 Molotov cocktails. One of them he threw inside of a group, and one lady lit on fire from head to toe. And then the other 4 people were also injured and in a fire, but not as bad as the first one. And then the attacker came out from the bushes and the trees the second time, and he threw another cocktail. And on the second one, he lit himself on fire accidentally. And I imagine it's accidentally. He seemed to have a bulletproof vest on or some kind of vest and then a shirt underneath it. And after he lit himself on fire, he took off the vest and the shirt, and he was shirtless.
Bystander video shows police arresting a shirtless man, but authorities haven't officially confirmed whether that's Soliman. He was taken to a hospital for treatment and is now in custody, facing federal charges for using an incendiary device during a felony, with more likely to follow. National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard said her counterterrorism team is working with the FBI and local law enforcement, calling it, quote, a targeted terror attack against a weekly gathering of the Jewish community. Colorado Governor Jared Polis, who is also Jewish, condemned the attack, calling it a heinous and targeted act. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the victims were targeted simply because they were Jews. High-stakes ceasefire talks are underway in Istanbul this morning, but on the battlefield, the war is anything but quiet. Just a day before the meeting, Ukraine launched its boldest drone assault yet, striking deep into Russia and damaging or destroying at least 40 long-range bombers. The operation, called Spiderweb, took more than a year to plan and caught Moscow off guard. President Volodymyr Zelensky called it, quote, a brilliant operation. Russia fired back, unleashing 472 drones in its largest attack of the war, along with missiles that killed at least 12 Ukrainian soldiers at a training site. Despite the spike in violence, both sides sent teams to Turkey. Ukraine is pushing for a full ceasefire, prisoner swaps, and the return of abducted children. But with no draft deal in hand and trust in short supply, hopes for real progress are slim. The Trump administration has warned it may walk back from facilitating any negotiations if neither side shows real movement toward peace. This morning, China is accusing the U.S. of violating the 90-day trade truce after President Donald Trump claimed on Truth Social that China had, quote, totally violated the deal. The truce, announced last month, put a temporary halt on most tariff escalations between the two countries. But China's Ministry of Commerce says Beijing has held up its end, while the U.S. has imposed what it calls discriminatory and restrictive measures. Among them, new export controls on AI chips, a reported pause on U.S. sales of chip-designed software, and plans to revoke visas for Chinese students. In an interview on CBS's Face the Nation Sunday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said China isn't complying either, accusing Beijing of withholding rare earth exports that were supposed to be part of the deal.
I'm confident that when President Trump and Party Chairman Xi have a call, that this will be ironed out. But the fact that they are withholding some of the products that they agreed to release during our agreement, maybe it's a glitch in the Chinese system, maybe it's intentional. We'll see after the president speaks with the party chairman.
The White House economic advisor said President Trump is expected to speak with Xi this week to try to reset the truce. A surprise political shakeup in Poland this morning, where a right-wing populist and political newcomer has narrowly won the presidency. Karol Nawrocki, a 42-year-old historian and former amateur boxer, edged out Liberal Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski by less than 1 percentage point, extending the influence of the Nationalist Law and Justice Party. The upset threatens to derail Prime Minister Donald Tusk's centrist agenda, including efforts to roll back judicial reforms and expand civil rights. Nawrocki, a Trump ally who campaigned on Catholic values, migration's limits, and anti-EU rhetoric, now holds veto power over Tusk's government, setting up for a fierce power struggle in a deeply divided nation. His victory was fueled by right-wing endorsements and a last-minute CPAC boost, further cementing ties between Poland's populist movement and America's conservative right. Hurricane season is officially here, running from June 1st and lasting for the next 183 days until November 30th. Forecasters say hurricanes stirring in the Atlantic Ocean are most likely to occur between this time frame, and while this season is starting off quiet, forecasters say that it won't last. This is the 4th straight year hurricane season has begun without a named storm already forming in the Atlantic. On average, the first shows up around June 20th, and about 14 named storms form each season. But this year, we're looking at a busier than normal stretch, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, and Colorado State University. There will be above average activity this year, pointing to record warm ocean temperatures as a major fuel source. These two groups are predicting anywhere from 6 to 10 full-blown hurricanes this year. In 2024, there were 5 hurricanes to make landfall in the U.S., including Hurricane Helene, which killed more than 200 people. Finally this morning, something you don't see every day here in the U.S., especially so far south. The Aurora Borealis, or Northern Lights, put on a show across parts of the United States this weekend. Sightings of the beautiful cosmic light show were recorded as far south as San Antonio, Texas, and New Mexico. People in Washington State, Wyoming, and even parts of the Mid-Atlantic caught a glimpse of the colorful skies. The auroras were triggered by a severe geomagnetic storm ranked level 4 out of 5 by NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center. These are your unbiased updates for this Monday. Before we go, a quick correction. On Friday, we did share a story about a paraglider in China who was reportedly swept 5 miles into the sky by an updraft. Since then, some experts are saying at least part of that video was likely faked using artificial intelligence. At Straight Arrow News, we are committed to accuracy and transparency, and we thank you for the trust you put into us every day. Craig Negrelli will be back with you tomorrow morning. A quick shout out since I am filling in today. June 2nd is my grandparents' anniversary, 59 years. This is my grandma's first year spending it alone, but she won't be alone because I'll be bringing her some Texas Roadhouse for lunch after work today. My grandpa would have wanted her to still have her favorite baby back ribs. So a quick congrats to my 2 favorite people in the world. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Kara Rucker. I hope you have a great day.